This is the first challenge of CEO James' mother when accepting a poor girl named Diếp. That powerful woman used to know, with luxurious parties, relationships of equal social status, and future brides are educated in prestigious schools. She is not a cruel person, but she is a believer in class. Everything in her world is clearly classified. Who is suitable, who is not. When James, her only son, brought home a country girl, hands still covered in mud, simple dress and simple voice, she was silent for a long time. Out of anger but out of shock. To Diep, a name as gentle as the wind in the fields, but to her the girl was a storm. James looked at his mother with determined eyes and said, "Mother, love her. Tu Diep is the person I choose to spend the rest of my life with." She looked into the eyes of the big round purple leaf, honest and somewhat shy. There is nothing wrong with that girl, but nothing is right by her standards. She didn't say no, but she gave Ra a challenge. If you want to enter this family, prove you can keep James' heart. Not by words but by actions. The first challenge is not cleaning the house. It's not a coming-of-age party either, but a business party at home. With hundreds of dagger-sharp eyes, she invited Diep to attend. A country girl, ever entered the world of power and the rich, purple leaf. That day she deliberately did not let the maid help to Diep makeup or choose clothes, just to see how the girl does when standing in a room full of elegant women with 100 million handbag and expensive high heels. James, to Diep, came in a simple dress she made herself. Branded but clean and elegant. Neatly braided hair. Eyes still clear as the first time Diep introduced her. Some people whisper. Some people sneered, but to Diep was not confused when a lady suddenly asked, "Where are you from?" In the rustic but the leaves smile. "Yes, I come from Trolam village. There are golden rice fields and people who know how to live kindly." No one can answer, because in that sincere look and gentle words, something makes people feel guilty. The party is over. James' mother stood on the balcony holding a glass of wine, looking towards future daughter-in-law. She neither smiled nor blamed, she just sighed. A girl who does not succumb to contemptuous looks can keep the heart of a strong man like James. To Diep, that is the first challenge. And to Diep, a poor girl who overcame not by splendor, but by temperament. Easy to find prosperous place. The next challenge is for Tu Diep. The girl stepped from the countryside into the upper class. That party was not announced, but everyone understood that Tu Diep had passed the first hurdle. But for James's mother, woman who traded her youth to climb to the top of society, one party is never enough. She didn't quite believe it and wasn't ready to believe it, because love is a matter of the heart, but live in the world of power and intrigue, harshness. It's a matter of character. Challenge 2, communicating with business people. A week later, she invited Tu Diep to attend a meeting, a gathering place for female entrepreneurs and wives of leaders. Senior. Like the last party. This time, it is a social secret language communication about place. Every word, every look has a deep meaning. Tu Diep silently listens more than speaks. Don't go along with the flashy stories. When asked, "What do you think about women being independent, finance, or choose to live with husband?" she just replied, "I think women should be able to take care of themselves first, then worry about others. To be better than anyone, but because I am worthy." The answer is not shiny, but has real value. Some women nodded. James's mother, though not approving, but secretly admit in my heart, this girl is not easily swept away by the crowd. Third challenge, collision with public opinion. Rumors began to circulate. Sensational news. Famous CEO loves vegetable seller. Fairy tale love or trick. Tu Diep's mother was pushed into a spiral of slander. Mocking, even insulting. James's mother watched silently without intervening. She wanted to know if the girl would choose to cry and run away or move on. Tu Diep chooses silence and actio. She continued to go to school, continued to help the poor as if no one knew her. One morning, image of Tu Diep teaching letters to children in the Highlands. Include a simple note. I don't need anyone to believe. I just don't change myself because of mean words. James' mother read the news and was speechless. Needless to say, but her heart was truly moved. The fourth challenge is facing James's ex. One rainy afternoon, when she was making tea in the living room, James's ex, a noble lady, suddenly appeared. Unannounced. I came to see you in Tu Diep. When two women sit across from each other, James' mother sat still, like a judge silently watching a chess game. Cold, sharp ex. When Tu Diep does not back down but also does not compete. When the other person asked, how long do you think you can keep James? I am a girl with nothing but my heart. Tu Diep replied softly but firmly, I do not hold jealousy, I accompany him. That sentence almost brought James's mother to tears. Every challenge is a slice of life. She did not die, Diep did not overcome by means. Also do not use weakness to please. She just lives real. Love. And keep the rural atmosphere in the middle of the glamorous city. And that is the ultimate test. Make James's mother. The woman who once doubted her had to reconsider. Sometimes the most valuable thing does not come from education or fame, but comes from a heart that stands strong in the storm. This time, when mother has softened, James was the one who hurt Tu Diep the most. After months of observatio, after each cautious look gradually becomes gentle, James' mother finally spoke up. This time, if you are sincere with James, I will not stop you anymore. I used to think I understood my son best, but you made me realize that love also needs trust. That was the first time she called Tu Diep back. I am no longer a stranger. The first time she wrapped a silk scarf by herself. Keep the gift left by my grandparents, and gave it to Tu Diep to keep as an acknowledgement. Silently. Tu Diep was so moved that she almost cried while holding the towel. She thought all the storms had passed. But real trouble sometimes doesn't come from outsiders, but from the person we love the most. After passing financial investigatio and corporate restructuring, success, James has turned into another perso. Less smiling, always busy or grumpy. Tu Diep asked him, just said, I'm fine, I just can't take care of anyone else right now. One rainy evening, Tu Diep waited for him for 3 hours outside the company. When James came out, he stopped not because he was emotional, but because next to him is another woman, Tu Trang. You partner of the company. Tu Trang is beautiful and sharp, and was whispering something in James's ear. Tu Diep stood still. James saw her but did not explain. Just briefly, talk about you and me. Let's talk about it later. That night, Tu Diep hugged the silk scarf her grandmother gave her and cried. First time, she felt the only person she trusted had turned his back on her. A few days later, James's mother came to her house. OT carrying a serious look but a box of hot porridge. It teaches men who are successful or think you can take care of the whole world, but forgot the person behind taking care of it. She put down her grandchild's box and sighed. If you still love him, then forgive him. If you stop loving me, I won't blame you. Tu Diep is silent. She doesn't know whether to go or stay. But that saying is no longer a barrier. Oh, more testing is proof. The mother chose to stand by her. But the final challenge is yet to come. James, after knowing his mother, came to see Tu Diep looking for her. I'm sorry for hurting you, but I did it to protect you. It turns out that behind the clear cooperation, there are many calculations. James knew that if he let Tu Diep get involved, she would be in danger. But you are wrong, because he chose to protect her by pushing her away. Tu Diep looked at him with a soft but firm voice. If you consider me as a companion, don't push me away. If you consider me a burden, I will stand still all night. There are challenges that do not come from external factors, but come from within each person. But true love isn't always roses and smile. Sometimes, the person we love is the one who hurts us the most. But when Mother James held Tu Diep's hand, and James learns not to keep love with selfishness, then finally, three people who were once strangers can walk towards each other, with a heart that is tired but not cold. From the previous story about CEO James's mother, about Tu Diep and James himself, we can learn many valuable things about love, family, and intergenerational challenges. Below is an emotional sharing for the audience, drawn from the story itself. When Mother opened her heart, the challenge comes from the person you love the most, and profound lessons for those in love. But in love, people often fear outside opposition, class differences, social prejudice, geographical distance. But few people expected the person who hurts us the most. Sometimes it's the person you trust the most. CEO James's story and the country girl Tu Diep. OT just a modern fairy tale, but also a mirror. What many of us are going through. When prejudice can be erased as long as the heart is open enough. James' mother, who had been strict and cautious, opened up. OT because anyone forced, but because she chose to listen with her heart. Sometimes adults are not malicious, they are just afraid that their children will get hurt. Fear of choice. Not being worthy will ruin the children's future. But when the mother saw the steadfastness, see the lasting love from Tu Diep, she broke down the wall in her heart. This is a lesson for all parents. Don't be quick to judge the person you love, because my heart doesn't need a reso. It just takes sincerity. But the one who loves you, sometimes the one who hurts you the most. James changed after overcoming the crisis. You are distant, coldly hide emotions to protect the one you love. But you are wrong there. Love does not need silent sacrifice. It takes sharing and trust. Tu Diep had to endure lonely moments, wordless tears, just because James thought he was doing a good thing. This is a lesson for those who are in love. Don't love the way you think is right. Love the way the other person feels loved. I forgive not weak, but when you choose love over ego, Tu Diep can leave, she has that right. But she stayed not because she was weak, but because she believes that people grow from mistakes, if given the chance to fix. She and her mother, who had once opposed her, is the one who delivers the porridge box. Speak softly. Choose to stand by her. OT because I understood Tu Diep, but because she saw the woman's heart. OT abandoned her son when he was at his weakest.